staying safe, staying blessed during this quarantine. I hope that you are observing the quarantine like we all should, because this corona is no joke, okay? And we don't know who is going to be so severely affected. If you did not see my live yesterday, if you did not see my Instagram story yesterday, I taught us how to make a homemade mask, okay? So make sure you go back and find that. Also on LinkedIn, it's on there, okay? She Makes More on Facebook. She Makes More on Instagram. I'm Dawn DeLavalade on LinkedIn. You can find it on all platforms, how to make your own mask and keep ourselves safe. Thank you, everybody, for joining on IG and on Facebook. So today I'm hopping on because it has come to my attention that tensions are getting high, right? Couples are and spouses, significant others, husbands, wives, everybody is quarantined. We are on top of each other all day, every day, potentially. Those of us that are adhering to the quarantine, which we all should, and the isolation recommendations. So when you put two people in the same space for days on end, you're bound to have, potentially some challenges with your communication, some challenges with the way that you act toward each other. And so I just want to come on to talk about some lockdown language, okay? Lockdown language. What are the things that we should never be saying when we're in an argument, even when the tensions are high, under this sort of stress and strain? A lot of us feel like we are very much on edge, okay? And sometimes when you are feeling on edge, you tend to lash out at the person who is closest to you, the person who you love the most, the person who you're spending the most time around is usually going to be your significant other, your spouse. And we can sometimes say very, very harsh and mean things to our spouse and significant other because, number one, they're there all the time. Number two, they're the person that sometimes can say things to us that may be very hurtful, and we want to, some personalities, some people, in the heat of the moment, you just want to launch back, the most vile thing that comes to your mind to, kind of stick it to that person in the heat of the argument. But let's talk about lockdown language, okay? Because what we don't want to do is at the end of this have relationships that are dissipating because of the way that you guys talk to each other during this quarantine. We have never ever been through this before, right? So we're figuring out as we go, but a lot of times when tensions are so super high and you're facing morbidity, you're facing mortality, and you're facing sometimes grief when you've lost loved ones, your language can get very, very much out of control, okay? So I wanted to just talk about lockdown language, 3 things to never say to a man in an argument. You guys know that my passion is the female breadwinner, women who earn more than the men that they love. So that successful, high-earning businesswoman, now she's home, right? She's home all day, every day with her spouse. On her 9 to 5, she's used to calling the shots. She's used to handling things. She's used to being a leader. So now she's in the house all day, every day with her mate, who also has his own needs as far as, leadership. Men like to provide direction. Men like to provide, they have a certain sense of purpose. They want to protect. They want to provide. So balancing it can be tricky, right? Because now you guys are all up on top of each other all day, every day. So let's talk about the 3 things that should never, ever be said in an argument, especially when you're a female breadwinner, okay? Newsflash, because a lot of us don't know this. Men are emotional creatures, okay? I'm going to say that again. Newsflash, most men are emotional creatures, much more than what they get credit for, much more than what is out there in their brand per se. They say, suck it up or be tough or act like a man. Look, let's just understand men are more emotional than we give them credit for, meaning our words as their special woman, the woman in their life, their wife, their significant other, our words are extremely important, okay? And when we launch very vile, very hurtful words at our men, it sometimes has a lasting effect that we may not have it intended, right? We may have just said, oh, this is what I need to get off my chest in the moment because maybe I feel like I have to clap back or whatever because of what he said to me, or this happened, I'm in a bad mood, everything is going wrong, and you just launch out some very nasty verbal insults. Let's talk about the fact that those things are lasting, and let's talk about the 3 things we should never be saying, okay? First, I want to say money. We know money is sometimes the downfall to a lot of relationships. A lot of marriages end over challenges with money. And if we think money is feeling like an issue or feeling like a challenge right now, it's probably only going to get worse, okay? It's probably only going to get worse as we move through this coronavirus pandemic. So let's get our minds and our spirit in the right place of the things we should never say, okay? The first is, when you are a higher earning woman, you are a successful businesswoman, you should never say, this is my money, so don't tell me how to spend it. This is my money, so don't tell me how to spend it. That is not acceptable. Not acceptable. Doesn't work. You know why? Let's look back decades and decades when the man was always going to be the provider, right? What if he had said those words to us as the homemaker, the housewife, the woman who is taking care of the kids, cooking the food, keeping the house together? You are doing your part. You are providing for your family. Your husband at that time was a provider, so of the finances. So what if he had launched those very hurtful words at you and said, this is my money, don't tell me how to spend it, right? What does it do? It totally knocks you off center. It is a form of financial bullying, and it's just not acceptable, okay? This is my money. And here's the thing. A lot of times when female breadwinners are in relationships, we still want our men to have a leadership position in the home, okay? Most female breadwinners I talk to still want their man to, quote unquote, be the man, be the head of household. They want them to show leadership skills. And some of that is going to be leadership with the finances in the home, right? So let's say he's saying, oh, babe, we got to cut down on these credit card expenses. I saw you bought these shoes last week. They were $300 shoes. We got to stop. If he's exerting his leadership, if he's trying to provide and protect the family by, assisting with keeping the finances on track, do not launch things like, this is my money, so don't tell me how to spend it, okay? It's very, very detrimental to the bond that you guys have. And again, it's a form of financial bullying, and we just should not do it. You should be team players, okay? So no matter who makes what, we're sharing this, we are budgeting, we're doing what's best for us as a team, as a family. It can't be all about you, even if you have more zeros at the end of your back. Just try to listen first, okay, before you launch something like that, because it's just not acceptable. The next thing I will say is, if you don't pay the cost, you can't be the boss, okay? If you don't pay the cost, you can't be the boss. This is things like, well, this is my house, so you don't have a say. Or I bought this car, so I get to determine what we do with it, right? So again, this is you using your money or your paycheck as a tool to try to belittle, to try to marginalize, to try to basically disenfranchise him from having different decision-making capabilities in that relationship. It is not acceptable, ladies, okay? If you are a successful woman, okay, congratulations, I am too. But here's the thing, that doesn't mean you get to get into a relationship and tell somebody, oh, well, you didn't have the money, you didn't have the finances to buy this, so now you get to have no say and no decision making, when we are supposed to be a family, right? We're supposed to be partners. So that's the second thing you don't say is, you didn't buy this, so you don't have any decision. You don't get to have a say. Not acceptable. Like I said, men are emotional creatures. When you say things like that to them, when you try to, again, chop them off at the knees, you marginalize, you belittle. Why would you want to chop your own man down? What is that? Like, you should be wanting to build up, okay? So the third thing I will say is, third thing we should not be saying in a relationship, especially when you're the higher earner, and this is really in any relationship, honestly, is, I don't need you. I don't need you. I got this. Oh, I can pay my own bills. I can pay this mortgage 2 times. I can pay my car note. I don't need you. Those are things that, again, we say in the heat of the moment when we're mad, we're upset, tensions are high. Like I said, maybe he said something to you that was very inappropriate, and I get it, right? We should not be victims of any verbal abuse either, okay, or any other kind of abuse for that matter. But we got to understand as women, there are certain things that when we say and when it comes up and comes out, it never goes away. It stays in his mind, it stays in his spirit, and it continues to linger and crush him over time, okay? We just got to understand it. Men and women are made differently. Men are much more emotional than we give them credit for. Things like, I don't need you. He will never, ever, ever, ever forget that you said that. Even if you said it one time, it took you 2 seconds to get it up and out your mouth, and now you think, oh, 6 months, a year later, oh, we're in a good place, we're back together, this. Oh, you thought he forgot? He didn't forget. He's never going to forget that. I don't need you. And you know why? Because men need to be protectors, they need to be providers, they need to feel like producers, okay? So even if he's not the higher earner, he's still providing, protecting, producing. Hey, Elsie, thanks for joining. He's still providing, protecting, producing, hopefully, in another way, right? I'm not talking about the deadbeat that's on the sofa all day, not producing, not doing anything. I'm not talking about that kind of guy. I'm talking about the kind of guy who is still contributing, the kind of guy who is there to pick up the pieces when you have to work those long hours, who's there to help out with the kids, who's there to just boost you up and make you feel good and support you emotionally, which a lot of women who are high earners need that emotional support and cheerleader. So he is providing, he is producing, he is protecting. It may just not be in the same way as our granddads or great granddads did, okay? So never ever tell a man that you don't need him, all right? Because he will never forget that. So again, these are challenging times. We are on top of each other. Tensions are high. Money is getting tighter, and things are probably going to get even more stressful before they start to get better. So I just wanted to come on and say, as far as how we are communicating with each other during this time, we have to be mindful about things that we should never say. And what they are is, this is my money, so don't tell me how to spend it. We're never saying that, ladies, okay? The next thing is, you don't pay the cost, so you're not the boss, meaning we're snatching his decision-making ability because he does not pay the mortgage or he doesn't pay the car note. We're trying to snatch his, no, we're not doing that either. And the last thing we're not doing is saying, I don't need you in any situation, because like I say, that stays with that man and you are never going to take that back. So I hope this is helpful. I pray that we get through this sooner rather than later. Be good to each other. Yeah, this is a time of immense change that we are going through, okay? Changes in the relationship and the amount of time that we're like stuck together. Changes in the finances and the security and the certainty of our homes. Changes in our day-to-day. It's a lot of change happening. But what we don't want to do is take it out on each other. And also, change also brings what? Opportunity. Okay? So with this change, let's use this opportunity to even get closer to our mate, right? Let's use this opportunity to understand each other better. Let's use this opportunity to have meaningful, intimate conversations with each other about not only, hey, do we feel fearful about the epidemic? Of course we do. We all are feeling very afraid right now. How are we feeling about our finances? What can we do to lean into each other instead of turning against each other when we feel uncertain or scared or afraid, right? So use these moments of immense change as opportunities to bring your relationship closer together, as opposed to letting the tensions and the language that's coming out of your mouth push your relationship apart, okay? Because what we don't want is a whole lot of quarantine divorces, okay? When the dust settles, we don't want relationships ending because you did not know how to treat each other during this quarantine, all right? So thank you guys for watching. And yeah, I'm going to be back on and talk about a few more things coming up. Please, everybody, stay blessed and safe. Oh, If you want to keep this conversation going, just type yes in the comments, and I'm going to give you a free resource called The Top 7 Things Men Want Female Breadwinners to Know About Relationships. Completely free. Comes from the men's tent. You know, I talk to men all the time about female breadwinners, what they like, what they don't like. If you want to keep the conversation going, make sure you type yes in the comments, and I will get you that free resource, okay? So I'm going to see y'all soon. Bye.